former presiding officer shares her views on assemblymen holding additional government jobs. Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association president joins the call for beach hours to be amended. All Tobago Fisherfolk president not impressed with THA's plans for the industry this quarter. And in sport, 25 under-20 male footballers shortlisted for national team. Good evening, I'm Patricia Nicholson-Richards. Thank you for tuning in to the Tobago Updates News. To our top story, former presiding officer of the Tobago House of Assembly, Dr. Denise Soyafat Angus, offered her perspective regarding some members in the new administration maintaining previous employment whilst currently engaged in the new executive. Speaking on the Tobago Updates morning show earlier today, Dr. Angus indicated the act is very clear.
I think the act is very clear. Under remuneration of members of the Assembly, in the act, it is very clear where it says a secretary or the presiding officer shall not engage in any trade, business, occupation, or other undertaking for profit or remuneration other than that of serving as a secretary or a presiding officer.
The former presiding officer further explained that assistant secretaries do not belong to the Executive Council. Therefore, the matter in question is deemed a moral issue rather than a legal one.
If you really look at the law, that will be a loophole where they will be allowed, to do so. But it becomes a really ethical issue. Can you really have two full-time positions? How do you operate in two full-time positions where you're expected to attend to the assembly? Even though you're not fully responsible for a division, you do have duties.
Dr. Soyafat Angus further noted that Attorney General Faris Alwari can use more than one angle to seek clarity on the matter.
The question of whether you can receive two salaries for full-time work from government entities.
The arrival of the British Airways flight on Monday is one step towards the goal of achieving 100,000 visitors per year. This, according to the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Councillor Tasha Boris. The details are in this story.
100,000 visitors per year is the goal of the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Tasha Boris. She believes setting the bar high pushes her administration to work hard at reviving tourism. But Boris cautions, do not expect it by the end of 2022.
I indicated that I want to get us back to the days of 100,000 visitors per year. I didn't say we'll get it this year, but certainly I know that with the stakeholders that we have on board.
For the first time since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic 2 years ago, an international flight in the form of British Airways arrived in Tobago. It is step 1 to 100,000. 88 passengers disembarked, and CEO of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, Louis Lewis, says Tobago is well on its way to achieving that goal.
Most of the other destinations that have opened up have started with lower numbers, some of them even single digits, but today we have 88. So if we are at that level for our first flight, the future stands very positive.
Also welcoming the international visitors was an optimistic Chief Secretary, Polly Augustine.
We are also confident that this is the beginning of something new, something refreshing, and Tobago will once again become the leading port of entry.
Although excited, Chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber, Martin George, warns the THA against celebrating too soon.
We, however, caution that this, one swallow does not make a summer. So therefore, this lone flight is not sufficient for the economy in Tobago to be, revived.
Virgin Atlantic is also scheduled to resume flights to Tobago by the end of January. Meanwhile, the Chief Secretary promised there will be more to come.
We are on the hunt towards regaining those that we have lost during COVID, and also capturing new markets and capturing new airlines into this space.
For Tobago Updates, I am Candice Jackson.
pleased, but there's still a lot of work to get done. That's how the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association feels about Monday's arrival of the British Airways flight. Tobago Updates News met virtually with the president of the THTA, Chris James, and has the details.
The arrival of an international flight to Tobago for the first time since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic is a wonderful way to start off the new year, according to President of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, Chris James.
We have another British Airways on Friday, and then on the 29th of January we've got Virgin. So we're back into the UK market, which is our largest market. BA comes from Gatwick and Virgin comes from Heathrow. So we're very pleased.
Although promising, James says the return of international flights is falling short as beaches are only open from 5 a.m. till 12 p.m. Reef tour operators and dive interests remain prohibited from operation,
which costs thousands of dollars for the accommodation and thousands of dollars, US dollars, by the way, to the water sports operator. So already they've cancelled January. If we don't get this rectified soon, they will cancel the proposed calls for February.
It is one of the matters THTA will bring up at their meeting with the new Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Tashia Burris, on Thursday. Another issue will be the reinstallation of the Tourism Standing Committee.
It is important because we can, week by week, we can sort out individual problems. The beauty of the Standing Committee is that the head of the Standing Committee can call any party to the table. So if we have issues with like the beaches or Caribbean Airlines.
James is pleased with the PDP-led THA's commitment to extensive collaboration because there is a lot of work to be done towards reviving tourism.
I sat on a board meeting yesterday with the CHTA, the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, and the kind of work that's going on in the region is astounding, the amount of work that they're doing. So we have more to do. I know there were constraints. I'm hoping those constraints are not as much as before.
For Tobago Updates, I am Candace Jackson.
With calls increasing for the government to extend the time that beaches are open, Tobago Updates visited the Mount Irving and Storby beaches today to find out the views of beachgoers.
Yeah, I think they should open the beach past 12 because, I mean, everybody's suffering. People who come to bathe on the beach for the ailments and stuff, not everybody could come from 5 to 12. People that work in the beach bars who have businesses from the beach, like this one. They should open the beach.
Yeah, well, I think that the beach hours should be extended because most of the time people have to get up in the morning and get ready for work. And it's after work is where some people would like to take a little soak. Also too, it's only on weekends you'll see people having time, and if they had a short time to work with, the beaches would be crowded on a morning. So to help with the protocols, so we could social distance and reduce the amount of groups in a crowd, we need to extend the hours.
Yeah, well, we find the beach should extend, and what I mean by extend is give it back 24/7 because due to the fact people not enjoying themselves, right, worldwide. Because other beaches open and we beaches is just from 5 to 12. That don't make any sense. Everybody rushing. They're trying to prevent the COVID by why everybody rush to the beach from 5 to 12. What sense that make?
No. We are in a pandemic. And I think because of the pandemic, this always is good to control the crowd of people. Because people coming from Trinidad come across into Tobago, we don't know what they're bringing across here. So it is much better as it is now. Until the pandemic is over, then I believe the beach could open, extend, was going to extend it. Other than that, they stay as it is. I'm comfortable with it.
I would like to say the beaches could open for the sake of Tobago's tourism economy, for the sake of my business and so many others surrounded by the beaches. Also, it is a very open environment. It's not an enclosed area, so you can always find your little area by yourself, and you could open the hours to stop the cramming of the people coming all together at 5 to 12 and instead have them come at either given time they want to, either in the morning or in the evening.
Free diving lessons and regulations for fishing vessels are just some of the plans announced by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine as low-hanging fruits to tackle for developing the fishing industry. How will these plans be executed, and what are the reactions of fishermen to this announcement? Here's more in this story from Candice Jackson.
Assistant Secretary in the Division of Food Production, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, Nigel Tate, says along with free diving lessons and other training, radios will be provided for fishermen.
So just in case you go out at sea and you end up in some form of difficulty, you could always radio land for assistance.
But President of the All Tobago Fisher Folk Association, Curtis Douglas, does not agree with this plan.
Radios are ineffective. We need something more sustainable. So we have a proposal, a plan we've been advocating for the longest while. We realize satellite phones are the way to go.
In fact, Douglas is not pleased with Sunday's announcements, such as diving lessons for fishermen.
We have more pressing issues to deal with than taking an oxygen tank to go fishing with.
He accused Augustine of going the way of the previous administration by not consulting with fishermen before making their plans. They preferred that attempts be made to mend poor relations among fishing associations and the Department of Fisheries. And
on the list we send him, we ask him for a rescue boat. We need data collection to have data to know if our fish, our species in this island is depleting from all of these exercise that these oil companies are creating.
Meanwhile, maritime surveyor and owner of Sea School, established since 2011, Ricardo Stewart, has been commissioned by the THA to offer fishermen some of the training.
They will be better able to identify certain symbols and certain objects out in the water as to what the dangers are and what they mean. Especially, they will be able to deal with the near collision.
They will also be aiding the fishermen in getting properly registered.
The idea is to get their vessels registered, in which they will be surveyed. Certain equipment they will have to have on board, but training is important and the consultation part is also important.
For Tobago Updates, I am Candice Jackson.
We have more news coming up after the break. Stay with us.
To all Tobagonians and visitors of this beautiful island, the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is seeking your efforts and support in keeping a clean and organized, friendly environment. In doing so, drop-off bins are located at strategic areas around Tobago for your recyclable materials such as plastics, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and tetra packs in bags, and let's protect our environment. Our own Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is here to propel that change. Look for the white bin nearest to your area.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Good morning, good morning, put a smile on your
SMART initiative is expected to be launched in 1 month's time. The Show Me a Road initiative was announced by Chief Secretary Fali Augustine as one of the plans the THA is rolling out to improve road maintenance around the island. Tobago Updates sat with Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James, to find out more about SMART.
Road access is a challenge in some communities around Tobago, and the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Renewal, Trevor James, is committed to finding a solution.
We looked at an emergency situation and realized that there will be several persons to whom emergency vehicles and personnel could not access readily. And so the idea was to build out and assist persons in communities and bring employment to the communities as well.
From that realization, Show Me a Road Tobago, or SMART, was conceptualized. It
is designed to identify road infrastructure that is in need of upgrade, that is in need of development. It was specially designed based on our topography.
James says they are still in the planning phase of the SMART initiative development to determine exactly what form it will take.
One, of course, is to develop an app where persons can go online and upload their pictures. We were hoping to do a GIS type platform where we can actually geotag the pictures that are uploaded.
SMART will be ready in 1 month's time and will first address potholes, but will move on to major projects as funding will allow. In the meantime, the division has determined that there is one road that can be repaired starting this quarter.
Given that Pigeon Point is our premier beach, we thought that as a good initiative visually that we can repair that road that has been left unrepaired for several years.
All road repair works will be done using a combination of community resources and division resources. For Tobago Updates, I am Candace Jackson.
One Darrell Spring resident has taken issue with incomplete works in the area, and he's calling for the job to be completed. Details in this report.
Not wanting to reveal his identity, a Darrell Spring Trace resident expressed dismay at the way residents in the area were treated by the last THA administration. The man explained that the roadway was damaged by big trucks and heavy equipment that were working on a project in the area some time ago. He said that due to neglect, the conditions of the road worsened. However, sometime in November of 2021, there was a glimmer of hope when a team of workers from the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment showed up, dug up the road, perhaps in preparation for the long-awaited repairs. Their hopes were short-lived when the project was abandoned, or so they thought, until the Sunday before the December 6th THA election.
Well, we had a pretty bad road, and it was attempted to be fixed late last year, about November, December, early December. But they came, they dug up the road like they were going to fix it, and then they left it out for a while, and they came back the Sunday before election. They did half of it, and they left the other part mashed up.
Though a part of the road was repaired, the unrepaired portion with its widened potholes in some areas and the creation of a dust bowl in front of the loan shop in the trees, which according to the gentleman is a problem whether sun or rain.
When the rain falls, there's a pool that forms at the bottom of the hill, and when the sun shines, the mud that it takes down the hill is a dust bowl, and it is an endanger to the little children who just be around.
A motorized piece of equipment can be seen parked at the side of the road in Darrell Spring Trace, probably waiting to be gassed up and put into action in the area. For Tobago Updates, I am Beverly Edwards.
Former Government Minister Mbao Mohini is happy with the change in leadership in Tobago. According to Mohini, a change from the ridiculous to the constructive is a beautiful thing.
The outcome of the last THA elections, which saw a 14-1 win in favor of the Progressive Democratic Patriots against the People's National Movement, surprised and shocked some, while others were elated. The PDP was led by the newly appointed Chief Secretary Fadi Augustine in the keenly contested election. Speaking with Tobago Updates, former government minister in the Kamla Prasad Bisesel-led People's Partnership Administration, Mbahu Mohini, said the change of leadership in Tobago is very good, and the change from the ridiculous to the constructive is a beautiful thing. He lamented that those who are vested with the governance of Tobago nationally have failed Tobago in lieu of personal agendas.
While the PDP is in charge of the assembly, remember that we are part of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and there are persons who are in charge nationally who are not, and have proven that they are not serving our interests but their own personal agendas.
Mohini added that the past administration did not serve the people of Tobago.
You go into that office to serve, to assist, right, to make a contribution, right, and the past administration did not do that.
He asserts that Tobagonians expect a better representation from the new THA administration. He said the cadre of good people in the new entity seeks to unite all of Tobago, and this element of unity augurs well for the development of communities and the nation as a whole. Mohini went on to outline some of the issues he would like the current THA administration to address.
The first thing is the people, right, in terms of how we live, community outreach programs, reaching out to your people, providing guidance, providing opportunities for them to develop themselves, not just in formal education, but also on the informal side as well.
The former politician suggests that the new executive should find simple ways to make Tobago a more productive island. Beverly Edwards for Tobago Updates.
Meantime, Mohini is commending the leadership approach in the new Tobago House of Assembly executive. He highlighted many areas and sectors in Tobago which he stated, if enhanced, can positively impact the island. Agriculture is one such area.
Tobago at one point in time used to export 1 million pounds of pigeon peas, 300,000 pounds of provision, good, a host of other produce.
Mohini added that because the younger generations were born in a different environment to what existed prior, the importance and interest in agriculture have somewhat lessened. He recounted the years when the coastal steamer visited Tobago for produce.
The young ones growing up have grown up in a different environment. They don't know of the days when the coastal steamer would circle the island every week and just collect produce.
The former minister noted that agriculture can be one of the effective game changers for Tobago's economy if addressed holistically. Mohini said it is time for Tobago to come forward and show that the island can be a national example.
Let us step forward. Let us create a vision for the future. Let us create a vision for what is possible. And let us be exemplars to ourselves and our families, as well as to our people here in Tobago, but let us be exemplars to the nation of Trinidad and Tobago.
He believes that the THA can inspire and motivate the people. He stated that all those who are looking at Tobago can say Tobago has led the way and is setting an example for others to follow. He said it was done in the past and it can definitely be done once again. Well, coming up after the break, we have sport with Marcus Daniel. Stay with us.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's sportscast. I'm your host, Marcus Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday evening. Well, we begin with the news that has gripped the nation in the last 2 days, and that is the sudden loss of life of quarter miler Dion Lendo. Well, his Tobagonian teammate Dwight St-Hilaire would have sent condolences. We have more in this story.
Tributes continue to pour in 1 day after the tragic passing of TNT's three-time Olympian Dion Lendo. The nation woke yesterday to the shocking news of Lendo's untimely death in a vehicular accident on his way home from training in Texas. The quarter miler was serving at Texas A&M as a volunteer assistant coach with the 400 and 800 meters running athletes. He was part of the national 4x4 relay men who captured bronze at the 2012 London Olympic Games. He was also a three-time World Indoor Championships medalist. Tobagonian teammate Dwight St-Hilaire, in expressing condolences, said, quote, "He was one of my greatest motivators, friend and supporter, believing in things I couldn't see myself," end quote. Head of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, Brian Lewis, said, "Lendo was an inspiration to us all, both on and off the track."
To have received such tragic and sad and shocking news, there are no words to describe this loss. Dion Lendo has been an inspiration to many young people, not only in track and field but in Trinidad and Tobago. His commitment to country, to his team, to his friends, to his family, and to his colleagues and to his sport has been enormous. He has been someone who, regardless of adversity and obstacles, he has persevered.
Lendo who was recently appointed to the athletes subcommittee of the newly installed N3AA executive, was expected back home next week.
Sad news there coming out of Texas, the loss of Dion Lendo. Tobago Updates family, we extend condolences to the friends and family, and of course the sporting fraternity, the loss of Dion Lendo. Moving in some news of track and field, well, a call for sports meets to be conducted in Tobago separately from Trinidad. The call comes from head of the Tobago Athletic Committee, Kyle Joseph. We have more in this story.
President of the Tobago Athletic Committee, Kyle Joseph, believes Tobago should conduct its own meet following the postponement and uncertainty of other developmental meets planned for the 2022 track season. Joseph, who is also the head coach of the Tobago Select Sports Academy, said Tobago clubs have never stopped training, but adequate competition is lacking.
Some of us never stopped training, but the problem that we are having is that we are not competing from the entries level. Tobago has to wait on Trinidad in order to do any sort of running. So one of the things that, for me, that we'd like to do is not separate from Trinidad, but if Tobago could basically have some sort of development meets or some sort, not straying from a question, but if we should have some development meets and try to secure, because if you do the data statistics from the Olympics, you could see maybe in the last 12 years, and the majority was from Tobago, so I still don't want to make it look anyway, but I would like to see a little more development, because we are the meet was put off on the 8th. I heard the other one is putting off on the 20th as well. So where track and field is concerned, and we only have 2 years for Olympics, I don't know how it's going to structure, but if Tobago could secure themselves and at least try to bring back Simoy or someone out the doors, to compete where the Olympics is concerned. But preparation, we are preparing, but competition, no competition, and Jamaica and all these other places are competing as well, so it's a very hard thing.
Well, Joseph was elected unopposed to lead the Tobago Athletic Committee for the period 2021 to 2023 at the organization's annual general meeting and elections via Zoom last November. Asked about his relationship with the newly installed N3 executive, Joseph said he is very pleased with the interest shown to Tobago.
We have been communicating, and one of the things I would say it never happened before, but one of the biggest highlights is that entry has asked us what Tobago needs, and we are in talk with trying to, if it have 6 games in Trinidad, at least 2 could come to Tobago, some sort. But as we say, based on the health situation, there is no games going on in Tobago at this point in time.
Joseph said high on his agenda as head of the athletic committee is having the coaches and clubs work together to have time trials. He's also calling for more venues to be developed to facilitate track and field athletes as injuries occur due to the overuse of Mondo track.
Good luck there to Kyle Joseph and the Tobago Athletic Committee, and hopefully we can indeed have some meet in the not too distant future. We're wrapping up in some news of football. Several of Tobago's top young footballers are hoping to impress national coach Angus Eve. They are currently in training at the Dwight York Stadium. We have much more in this story.
25 of Tobago's top under-20 boys players will have the opportunity to address national coach Angus Eve and his technical staff at the end of this month. The shortlisted players emerged from an original group of 70 players from across Tobago. The players have been under the watchful eyes of several top local coaches for the last 2 weeks at the Dwight York Stadium. Manager of the Tobago Football Association screening program, Harvard Jack, told Tobago Update Sports that the players are happy to be back out after 2 years of no action, and he thanked the coaches for volunteering their service.
The technical staff, Mr. Desmond Alfred, the chair of the technical committee of the Tobago Football Association, I must give him credit. He has sourced all the major coaches. Terry Williams is our lead coach. We have people like Terry Joseph, Tuffy Joseph out of Bethel. We have Hayden McPherson from Speyside, Akko George from Louisdor. We had Mac and Hislop from Scarborough here. We have Richard Goddard, Downey Marcel, who has his soccer academy. And we have James Campbell out of Stokely Vale. We have Miss Curtis what is Curtis name? Curtis Moses, sorry. Curtis Moses, yeah. But all the coaches there, I mean, and we must thank the gentlemen. They had a little program they were doing. They came and be a part of it. They brought the youngsters, and we are terribly gratified for that. And on behalf of the Tobago Football Association, I must say thanks to these coaches because this was a free one.
According to Jack, some of the players are very young, but they will not turned away. Instead, they will be kept for an under-17 program by the TFA. Meantime, lead coach Terry Williams said a lot of coaching is required given the lengthy break from play due to the pandemic.
There are a handful of good players, skillful, intelligent players. Right. We just need to maximize their potential in the next couple of weeks. We get, being away from football so long, they want tightening up. So we go do that and let them present themselves to Angus and see, who we like.
Coach Williams praised the Tobago Football Association for the creation of the program, which he says gives the coaches ample time to prepare the players.
The Tobago Association did better than years gone by. They're giving us a chance to coach the boys a little bit. We get some notations from Angus Steve and say exactly what he's looking for. So we're going to try to bring them up to scratch with that and present them to him.
Yeah, good stuff there, and of course congratulations to the 25 players that have been chosen or shortlisted, and I wish them all the best when they face Angus Steve and his technical staff later this month. Well, that's all we have for you today in the world of sports. Thank you so much for tuning in to Tobago Update Sports. Remember, we are here Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and don't forget to hit me up with your sports. Could be anything. We want to highlight sports here in Tobago. That's all we have for you again. Of course, hand you back over to Patricia Nicholson for more news.
To all Tobagonians and visitors of this beautiful island, the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is seeking your efforts and support in keeping a clean and organized, friendly environment. In doing so, drop-off bins are located at strategic areas around Tobago for your recyclable materials such as plastics, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and Tetra packs in bags, and let's protect our environment. Our own Tobago Recycling Recycling Resource Initiative is here to propel that change. Look for the white bin nearest to your area.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
During her inaugural visit to Tobago, British High Commissioner Her Excellency Harriet Cross introduced victim support training to police officers in Tobago. During an interview on the Tobago Updates morning show today, Her Excellency explained that police to this program in Trinidad.
It will help the police respond to victims of crime, particularly victims of sexual assault. And so this, firstly, it helps British citizens who are here and might have the unfortunately something like that happens to them. Yes. But also it means that the police are, of course, also trained to respond to crimes that happen within the Tobago population.
In the first instance, senior officers will be trained so they in turn can train junior officers. Meanwhile, the British High Commissioner paid a courtesy call on Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, where they discussed opportunities for trade between the UK and Tobago.
The idea that actually Tobago was really a place that needed investment from the rest of the world, and we discussed ways in which we could attract investors from the UK to Tobago. And of course, from a UK perspective, we're also interested in what Tobago has to offer the UK, whether it's food and drink.
Her Excellency Cross also met with the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, where they discussed the issue of the UK's Test and Trace initiative to tackle COVID-19.
How you find out who's got COVID, there are various different methods, whether it's PCR or antigen, and then how you go about tracing them, and what that means for self-isolation, what it means for the economy.
The Minority Council was not left out, as they too got a visit from Her Excellency, where the conversation was centered around strengthening relationships between the UK and Tobago. It was an exciting and proud moment for the Parkers as the matriarch of the family celebrated her 100th birthday on Tuesday. Here's more from Natalie Seeley-Richardson.
The 11th of January. Mrs. Iris Priska McFarlane Parker was born on the 11th of January 1922 to parents Leonora and David McFarlane, and grew up in Concordia, Tobago. She is the 8th of 15 children and is one of the 3 surviving McFarlane siblings. Tobago Updates caught up with businessman Mr. Elton Richardson, who shared some reflections on Mrs. Parker's milestone birthday.
I have known Mrs. Iris Parker, more fondly known as Mother Parker, for over 50 years. As far back as the early 60s, she had been doing business with my father at Little Goose Store on Prince Street in Port of Spain. And there was a bond of friendship, respect that existed between the Parker's family and the Richardson family. The time that I've known Mother Parker, she's always shown herself to be a gentle, humble woman, a woman of strong Christian principles. I've always seen those same qualities instilled in her children, and I thank God for that.
Mother Parker, as she's fondly called, has 10 children of her own, but over the years she has taken care of several others, and so her family expands beyond her biological bonds. Mother Parker's dedication to God and the Wesleyan Holiness Church has allowed her to persist and to become the success that she is even today. She is indeed a living legend and has contributed greatly to Tobago.
As a pioneer in the Tobago business space, Mother Parker led the way for others to follow.
This icon, entrepreneur, mother, aunt, trendsetter, sister in Christ, boss lady, grandmother, whatever defines your connection to her, one thing is for sure. Mrs. Iris Priska McFarlane Parker has indeed touched many lives and transformed Tobago. From the entire Tobago Updates family, we salute you and thank you and celebrate your 100 not out. Natalie Seeley Richardson, Tobago Updates.
And on that note, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards. Thank you so much for joining us and do enjoy the rest of your evening.